You know how the Bible tells the story. Noah in the ark, he said, what's he say? Why did God flood the earth? Because the people were always mean. It says the evil, they were evil, their thoughts were evil continually. And they were. Philo lived back there at that time. He'd go through the city, and he would be there. And their kids were mean to fight. They were mean all the time. And they would throw rocks, and they would throw stones at him, and they would chase them up and down through the city. He would run. Trying to stay away from all the mean kids. Because the Bible says his thoughts were only mean continually. So Philo the people left the city. He goes outside the city, and there he finds Noah. Noah takes Philo into his house, makes him a place for the fireplace there, and have a little bed there. So they're happy there until God comes to Noah and tells God, the Bible said, God tells Noah that he's to build an ark, to warn the people of the coming judgment. And also, that there's two by two, all the animals are to get on the ark. Well, Philo took the job of getting on the ark and telling all the animals about the ark. So, if you knew that there was trouble coming, who would be the first person you would tell about the coming judgment? Who would that be? Who do you think? Fred. Very good. Did you hear the story before? Oh, yeah. All right. Yes. Philo went out the very next morning to tell his very best friend. Just blowing that ball. Very best friend lived out behind the house there. Up high in the tree. In his name, Mr. Squirrel. Squirrel's a wise fellow. He's always out collecting nuts. He's preparing for everything. So Philo got to tell him, Mr. Squirrel. He said, Mr. Squirrel, Mr. Squirrel. God came to us and told us about the coming judgment. And that the people were, Mr. Squirrel, the wise squirrel that he was, knew how evil the people were. He listened to Philo. He listened to God's plan to save the world. And so Mr. Squirrel said, well, Philo, when it comes time, I will take the place of that ark. And Philo did. Philo saved the place. Well, Philo didn't stay right there. He went out. He went out and started to tell others all about God's salvation. He was down through the weeds, and there hiding in the weeds, the wee little animals. Very timid animal. This animal was always afraid of everybody and always ran away when somebody came around. Philo says, Mr. Mouse, Mr. Mouse. Mr. Mouse, Mr. Mouse. Come out, come out. I gotta tell you. And he says, so Mr. Mouse is real timid and he comes out hiding behind the weeds and he says, what do you want, Philo? Philo began to tell him about the plan that God had save the world. And now people were only being mad. And God had to have a judgment. And he says, but I can't go in that big boat. Well, what an elephant would trample on me. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid of all the other animals and all the other people around me. I have to hide. Fido says, I will go with you. He says, I'll be your friend. I'll be close to you and I'll help you out. And I will protect you as we get a place, as you take a place of the earth. So Fido was a friend of Mr. Fox.
He's fine.
So Fido kept going. He didn't stop right there. Lion. Let's try that again. There's some also hiding in the grass with another animal. Fido had a hard time catching him. She was really fast. Huh? What? Rabbit. Mr. Bunny Rabbit. There's Mr. Bunny Rabbit. Fido come to tell him and said, Mr. Rabbit, just catch him up. He's all tired out. He says, Mr. Rabbit, stop running. He says, there's a coming flood. There's a coming judgment. Mr. Rabbit says, that's not a problem for me. I can outrun any flood. I can get out any judgment. He thought he could get away just by running. He could go and run away from everybody and everything. You know, you can never run away from God. Mr. Rabbit, Fido says, Mr. Rabbit, you can't run. You can't run from God, no matter how far you go, where you go. The Bible says that God is there. When God's judgment comes, it was going to cover the whole earth. And you no matter how fast you work, you can't get away from God's judgment. So Mr. Rabbit, too, took a place in the earth. This is the tough one. Yes, Mr. Snake. Fido was going through the weeds, and he come out of the weeds, and there, laying on a rock in the sun, was Mr. Snake. Mr. Snake, he had a problem too. He said, what do you want, Fido? Mr. Snake was beaten. Fido was afraid. He was scared. He said, the snakes are not very nice, are they? And they're not nice to people. But Fido says, he hid back in the weeds for a little bit. He says, I don't know if I can talk to Mr. Snake. I'm afraid of him. Fido knew if he didn't tell the snake, he would be judged by God. That the snake would lose his life. And even though he was afraid of it, he stepped out there and he said, Mr. Snake, there's coming a judgment. There's coming a flood. Snake said, tell me more. So Mr. Snake wasn't that bad. He may look scary. Sometimes when we tell people, talk to people, we think they're afraid. We're afraid of them. But no, you can tell people about God, about what he's going to do. So Mr. Snake, too, took a place on the ark.
What do you think Aaron's gonna do there? I think it's Tito. That's
No? So yes, Fido didn't stay right there around his house. He went down every country. He went down in Steve was starting to snap. He found somebody high up in the
Camera pocket.
monkey. I heard somebody said the monkey. There's Mr. Monkey. Mr. Monkey was up there high in the tree. He was up there, he was just a playful little guy. He was throwing coconuts down Fido. Mr. Fido's down there. Not the Mr. Monkey, Mr. Monkey. He's going to have to settle down. He says that he began to tell him about the coming flood, about the judgment. There's Mr. Monkey. So there, he says, well, I'm up here in the tree, you can't get me, and I'm having too much fun. If I came on the ark with you, I would have to change. I'd have to be different. I couldn't have so much fun. I couldn't be thinking everybody could catch me, and now the way I am, I'm free, and I can go and do what I want to do, but I can tease and have fun. There is a coming judgment. You may have to change some of the things that you do if you're going to enjoy God's way of salvation. Mr. Monkey said, okay, I'll settle down a little bit, I'll be quiet, I won't tease everybody so much, and I'll take the place. All right. Another animal down there. Big, tall. There we go. Somebody down there. Mr. Giraffe was there. And you know how a giraffe is. He's tall. He had big, long neck. His head's high in the trees. And he just didn't care. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. My head's high in the clouds. I don't care what happens. Fido says, you can't not care. And he says, Mr. Giraffe. He says, well, I'm not going to decide. I'm not going to take it up. I'm going to say, no, I'll get on the ark. Or I'm going to say, yes, I'll get on the ark. I'm going to say no. He didn't care what happened. You have to make a choice. Because if you don't make a choice, that's the same as saying no. He says, Mr. Giraffe, you have to choose. I have to either save you a place, and if you don't say yes, you're going to lose your life just by not saying anything. Mr. Giraffe got to think about that. If I don't take the place, and I don't say no, but I'm not saying yes, I'll lose my life. God's judgment. So Mr. Giraffe took the place on the ark. There's one last animal. We don't see this animal anymore.
Elephant.
We don't see it anymore. It's a dinosaur. Yeah, you don't see dinosaurs anymore, but this is a little different one. Yeah, this friend had a real problem. Oh. Alright, not a purple dinosaur. This was called push me pull me. On one end, we had pull. And then on the other end, we had push. He had a head on both ends. Push on one end, pull on the other end. So Pilate came to tell him, push me and pull me. He says, push, pull. You got to take the place on the ark. And he, you know what? Push was worried what pull would say, and pull was worried what push would say. It says, this sounds like a crazy story. I've never heard. There's never been a flood before. There's never been even rain before. So why am I going to believe this? And besides, you make fun of me. Pull will make fun of me. Push for a thought. Pull would make fun of him, and pull thought push would make fun of him. So he decided not to get on the ark. You know the story, that kind of story. There is a story. There is a coming judgment. God has made it. There's a way of salvation through Jesus Christ. You have to choose. You have to not use any excuse for not choosing Him. And that's the way of salvation. And that's the way of the coming judgment that we have.